Who makes it in my Premier League team of the season? Yes, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video on the Cody Big Man City Fan YouTube channel. Yes, today's video, of course, I'm wearing last season's City kit. Well, last season just gone, obviously. Well, not this season, last season, 22-23, if you know what I mean. But yes, today's video, I'm going to give my Premier League team of the season. And if you're thinking, Cody, how are you going to do this? So, obviously, I'm going to give my 11 best players who I think has performed extremely well in the Premier League this season. So, yeah, let's get straight into it. No nonsense. Smash the like, subscribe, get notifications on, and you might find out who I pick, surprisingly, in a second. Okay, guys, so I've gone for a 3-5-2 formation here, so which is quite a weird formation to choose, to say the least. However, though, let's start off with the goalkeepers first. And, of course, there's been some honourable mentions for me this season. Say, like, David Raya, obviously, he won the Golden Glove for Arsenal. Vicario, obviously, for Spurs. He's been fantastic. Alisson for Liverpool, keeping him in games. And Ederson, maybe at times. But, in fact, I've actually gone for Jordan Pickford of Everton. And if you're thinking, Everton? Why him? Well, I know I'm going to get sticky, but however, though, Jordan Pickford has kept Everton in games massively this year. He is one of Everton's key players. And with Everton's defensive record, with them having the 4th best defence in the league, and who'd have thought you'd say that about Everton, eh? At the start of the season. But to be honest with you, he's done incredible. Sean Dyche has done an excellent job at Goodison. And obviously, the thing is, can Everton keep hold of him? And personally, if he stays, I think Everton might do well over the next couple of years. But simply, I do think that with him and Tarkowski at the back, massive in terms of Everton's survival. But I feel like as well, without the point deduction as well, Everton would have been closer to Europe. And then they are with the not top 4, but then relegation. So, Pickford for me, from what I've seen, he's been incredible for Everton. So, my 3 defence, I've gone for one of the defence I've actually gone for is not an Arsenal player, but the other 2 are Arsenal players. But the one that is the non-Arsenal player is in fact Nathan Ake. And if you're thinking, why Ake? Well, Diaz has been by far from his best this season. Stones has had an injury impact season, I think. Gvardiol has probably only been good over the last couple of months, but I don't think he's quite made it yet to team of the season. But he's probably made my team in the last few weeks, personally. But Nathan Ake this season, right? He has made. I know he made that mistake at Anfield, but when times we need him, particularly with that massive injury crisis we've had just not that long ago in defence, he has simply kept our defence really strongly, and plus as well scoring the goal to win at Spurs, in the FA Cup, and say. At times, when I've seen Ake this season, he has been outstanding this season for us personally. Not exactly one of our best players, but I think he's our unsung hero. I think this season anyway, because he saved us on a few occasions this time round. But yeah, I think Ake deserves to be in there, but. Don't get me wrong, Ruben Diaz, by the way, he still is one of our key players. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like this season's gone well below par, I think. But not the last couple of months. He's been really good. I mean, since the start, and particularly in the December period when we kept dropping points, said like the Spurs, and the period where we kept dropping points, like to Chelsea, Villa, Liverpool, Palace, and nearly lost to Luton, But yeah, and yes, now let's move on to the Arsenal pair, obviously. Gabriel and William Saliba. Simply probably the 2 best defensive partnerships. Simply one of the best defensive partnerships in the country right now. Saliba Saliba, he has been outstanding for Arsenal this season. And he deserves to be in there because simply his goals, particularly like his goals, his contribution to the team and his defensive record is outstanding. Same with Gabriel as well, particularly in the 2 City games and also the Liverpool games. And as well, say North London derby. I think they were the only 2 games I think I started to question Arsenal a bit with the mentality, but... But personally, I do feel like Saliba and Gabriel, right, they've upped their game a bit again this season. They've really, really upped their game, which is good for Arsenal fans. And personally, I enjoy watching them. I know they've not won the league. I know they haven't won the league. And by the way, commiserations to Arsenal, by the way. What a title race you've given us this time. Unlike last season, which only you fell short by 8 points. But I feel like without the partnership of Saliba and Gabriel, I think Arsenal could not even be in title race. It could be stay outside top 4. But yeah, that's the defence done. And the 2 midfielders I have gone for Rodri and Declan Rice, of course. Declan Rice, simply the signing of the season, in my opinion. What a signing he has been for Arsenal this season. What a signing. And personally, I don't know if Arsenal fans may agree with me here, but I genuinely think he's probably one of the best midfielders in the league right now. Simply by far one of Arsenal's key players as well. I know he's done well. He's done magnificent at West Ham. But this season at Arsenal, I know they spent 100 million on him, but that is well earned 100 million, to be fair. What a player he is. And simply, I can't wait to see more from Declan Rice and from Arsenal next season. Rodri, simply the best defensive midfielder in the world right now. You can't even debate. Mr. Clutch, got us the league on Sunday, won us the Champions League last year, won us the treble last year actually. But the big question is, City fans, is Rodri our most crucial player? Personally, I think yes, because when he was suspended, we hadn't won a game without him, apart from the Luton game when we won 5-1, because I think we had to play Real Madrid a few days later. But simply, what a player. What a player. And my wingers, I've gone, obviously, Phil Foden, and on the left, Phil Foden, and on the right, Cole Palmer. Let's start with Palmer first. I know he started the season at City, but what a player he has been for Chelsea this season. Carried him into Europe. His goal, what I love about Palmer is, yes, I know Zach, obviously my mate, thinks he's the penalty merchant, but I don't think he is. Like, his goals, contributions, assists, his well on game effort as well, I think, had got Chelsea over the line into Europe. And personally, I feel like everyone else around him has been really poor for Chelsea. Well, not in the last couple of weeks. I mean, like, nearly for most of the season, I think. But simply, the thing is with Palmer this season, like, yes, I know he started off at City. And personally, myself, I didn't want him to go because I felt like he would have been a great player for us in the future. But at the end, Chelsea came calling. He was like, nah, I'm going to go. And what a player he has been for Chelsea. What a player. Now, Phil Foden, there's no introduction. We don't even need to speak about him, really. Premier League player of the season, and he's utterly deserved. Foden this season has been by far our best player. He simply won us the league with his goals. And personally, myself, right, without him, I don't think City might even won the league. I know we still got like Haaland, De Bruyne, and now people are going to be thinking, Cody, why you not pick Kevin De Bruyne? Well, obviously, Kevin De Bruyne, he got injured in the Champions League final. with a hamstring injury, I think it was. I can't really remember because my mind's gone blank since the final, since Istanbul. If I'm being honest, I have had a rough season, guys. Don't get me wrong, but I personally think as well, and obviously De Bruyne as well obviously picked up that same injury at Burnley on the opening day, and he only returned since January. He only came off the bench when we played Newcastle in January. On his first game back, got a goal and an assist. Kevin De Bruyne still is one of our best players, probably the best midfielder in the world right now. Still is the best midfielder in the Premier League, even since injury. Can't even deny that. But I still think that De Bruyne this season hasn't been, I don't think De Bruyne makes the cut, but I think most people would. If you guys would put De Bruyne in your team in a season, simply fair enough. I understand, but I don't think he makes the cut for me because of the lengthy spell he's had out injured. But maybe if he would have been fit all season, but maybe could have we done back-to-back trebles? Who knows? That's impossible. But yeah, but simply Foden, what a player he's been for us this season. And now my number 9 is central attacking midfielder. Number 9, I think it is.
Yeah, can.
Yeah. My number 9 position, I've actually gone for Alexander Isak, who's actually my only Newcastle player in this video. Simply, what a player he is. And I personally think he's been Newcastle's best player this season. He has so many highs, but saying that even with Newcastle as well, they've had so many highs as well this season. Not many highs compared to last season, obviously. Got to a cup final, got into the top 4 and everything. But obviously Newcastle, they were in the Champions League earlier in the season, weren't they? Isak, with his goals and his contribution as well, I think, I'd got Newcastle up to 7th. By the way, with all the injuries and suspensions, would you say 7th? I think 7th is successful, I think, for Newcastle. And I know it's a bit of a downgrade from 4th. From last year's height, really heights, overachievement, I think, last year from Newcastle. But is that are Newcastle going in the right direction? I think they are. I think if they get in Europe constantly, I think they go in the right direction. But Isak, I think he's been part of the project. He's been terrific since last season. I think. But when I watch him play, I get excited. Watch it. I know he tears our defence apart, but the strike partnership with him and Anthony Gordon as well, he's been fantastic as well. Gordon as well. He's another. I'll get into the honourable mentions in a minute, but Isak, he's been fantastic. He really has. Probably one of the best. I think he's one of my players of the season. I think, but I still think Foden is the player of the season for me. But my 2 strikers, I've gone for Ollie Watkins of Aston Villa. And of course, Erling Haaland. And let's start with Haaland first, because obviously, Golden Boot winner, back-to-back Golden Boots, back-to-back titles. What more can you want from him? Man's not human, as they say. Joking. Simply, yeah, this season's been weird with Haaland. I've not really been impressed with him, really, in most games. In some games, particularly in the big games. But in the Manchester derby and against Liverpool and Tottenham, he has impressed me. But I think it's just the Arsenal games. He's really not impressed me, if you know what I mean. But yeah, and say Real Madrid as well. But yeah, Erling Haaland, 34 goals this season. What more can you want? Now, Ollie Watkins. Yes, surprisingly, I'm not including a Spurs player in this video or a Manchester United player. Yes, simply, what a coincidence. What a coincidence. But, however, though, I think that Ollie Watkins this season, he has been absolutely outstanding for Aston Villa this season. He really has. He's got the most assist. He's got the Playmaker award as well, but got the most assists in the league. And for an Aston Villa player, and the second most goals, I think, or the third most goals in the league. For an Aston Villa player, that's remarkable. This has probably been Villa's best season, I think, since 92-93. The first ever season of the Premier League, exactly 30 years ago. 30 years ago. Under Ron Atkinson, of course. What a manager he was back in the day. Obviously managed Sheffield Wednesday as well around that time. But yeah, Aston Villa. I know the disappointment in Europe, losing to Olympiacos. But however, though, getting into the Champions League. But who did it better though? Who's overachieved the most over the last 12 months? Newcastle or Aston Villa? Let me know in the comment section, guys. Who do you think overachieved properly? Newcastle last season or Aston Villa this season? Well, maybe both, considering Newcastle, they were expected to challenge for Europe last season, but no one even had them anywhere near a Champions League spot. Probably the same with Villa as well. I think the target was to get into the Europa League, or I think their target was to get into the Champions League, I think, but I didn't have them anywhere near. But simply, fair play to Aston Villa and Unai Emery. What a job he's done at Villa. What a job he's done. But yeah, now let's move on to my honourable mentions. So the players who had missed out but didn't make the cut. So obviously one of them I did say earlier. Was in fact say Kevin De Bruyne. Obviously, I did say about him earlier. Because I feel like because of the long injury spell he had, I didn't think he made the cut for me. A shock one, I think. Morgan Gibbs-White of Nottingham Forest. Now him and Chris Wood's partnership, I think it's the reason why I think Forest has stayed up this season. I think as well, Morgan Gibbs-White this season, he's so underrated. I think he's due an England call-up because simply he is by far Forest's best player. He really is by far their best player. I enjoy watching Gibbs-White. I enjoy watching him play. Say Vicario as well from Spurs. I think Son's been really good this season for Spurs, and also another player that honestly deserves a mention as well, Dominic Solanke of Bournemouth. What a season he's had, and also as well Elise and Eberechi Eze, obviously of Crystal Palace. We've had some cracking players this season, but yeah. Who do you think's in your team of the season and who are your honourable mentions? Drop it in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Love, peace and techers.